So you're an ambitious person. You have big dreams. You want to be successful and ultimately have the life you've always imagined in your mind. But there's a problem. You're lazy. You know exactly what you need to do, but you don't do it. This makes you feel guilty. Because deep down you know you're capable of doing more. This guilt builds up day by day, week by week, and month by month until it turns into acceptance. And then the new year comes with the same goals as last year. We start off motivated and a bit delusional. But before you know it, procrastination quietly sneaks into your life. Just like that relative who always shows up unannounced. This ongoing procrastination turns into a daily cycle of laziness. Before you realize it, you start calling yourself a lazy person. So how can we break this cycle and get rid of procrastination? There are tons of videos on the internet, but most of them only address the symptoms, like deleting social media or removing distractions. While these things might help in the short term, they don't address the real issue, which is the root cause of procrastination. This root cause can be summed up in one word. Inertia in physics is the tendency of objects at rest to stay at rest and objects in motion to keep moving, unless an external force acts upon them. This is also Newton's first law, and just as it applies to objects, it applies to our actions as well. Starting anything, no matter how small, requires an initial push and some energy to overcome the inertia of being at rest. And this is exactly where the problem lies. We make that initial push seem so big and difficult in our minds that instead of doing the task, we avoid it altogether and distract ourselves with low-value activities that release dopamine. So, to overcome procrastination, we need to break that inertia, and there are two ways to do this. Start. The hardest part of any task is getting started, so make this stage as easy as possible by reducing the pressure of the task and taking the smallest possible step. For example, if you tell yourself, I have to sit down and finish my 5,000-word article, the inertia is very strong because the pressure of the task is high. But instead, if you tell yourself, I'm just going to write 50 words, the sense of inertia is much lower because now starting the task is much easier and you don't need to rely on willpower and discipline. There's another popular technique called the 2-minute rule. If you don't feel like doing something, just tell yourself you'll do it for 2 minutes and then if you want, you can stop. For example, if you don't feel like cleaning your room, put on a song, clean your room, and when the song ends, stop what you're doing. The good thing is that you usually end up continuing for more than 2 minutes and end up writing more than 50 words. And that's because objects in motion tend to stay in motion. Meaning, once we start, we gain momentum and that momentum pushes us forward for a longer time. At first, it's like pushing a ball up a hill, but once we get past the point of inertia, it's all downhill from there. That's why it's important for the initial push to be small and easy. In other words, reduce the workload and just start for 2 minutes. You can use these two methods in any area of your life to overcome procrastination, whether it's going to the gym, working on your personal project, maintaining your relationships, or anything else you can think of. As Martin Luther King once said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step.